What's happening? Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Zhanna from Slim by Nature. Let me just quickly check that we are live. I quickly log into our group. And just quickly check. Yep, great. We're in. Well, look, great to be here. Great to be in the office again when it's super quiet and I can be as loud as I want to be. Welcome all new members. It's incredible to see our community is literally growing by the day. We're getting so many new members to the group, and we're getting so many inquiries. It's super exciting, and I really hope we are providing and assisting all of you. And just in case if we miss your email or if we miss your chat, don't be shy, don't get upset, just follow up. It's somewhere probably in the queue to be responded. But I think I want to start this conversation or this particular live tonight to take a moment to have a little pause and really stop and say thanks to my team. Over the last 3 to 6 months, we have been incredibly busy. We had a big move, and it was a massive move. Even though we thought we were small, we're actually not. We've got so much stuff and so many products and boxes to shift and move. But the girls have done outstanding work. They've supported not you, they've supported me, and they've supported the business to the best of their abilities. And I think I really need to acknowledge them publicly, because I do come to the office and I say you've done a great job, but I think when you actually share your joy and your experience of the team and how well they're doing publicly, it just means a little bit more for them as well. So Chelsea is our nutritionist and naturopath. She just moved from Newcastle to Melbourne for a little bit to be with her family. She is doing outstanding work. The caliber of your work, Chelsea, is something that I've been longing for a long time. The wealth of knowledge that you provide to our community and the support you're providing to me in particular, it's just been phenomenal. Alia, our beautiful Alia in Dispatch, she is seriously the funniest girl I know. If you ever come here and want to have a chat and a cup of tea or cup of coffee with Alia, please do so, because you know what's going to happen. She's going to spill the coffee on herself, change the shirt, and then eat something, and the food will go on her shirt. But she's impeccable when it comes to packing, customer service, the way she's organized her station and her workflow is incredible. So I totally love her, and I think she's just such a cool and fun personality to be around. She always brings a smile to my face and the rest of us. Keely, our EA, super efficient, comes back with all the things that I request. So I am extremely proud of the three of the girls. Ashley, who comes part-time. What we've discovered, Ashley is amazing creative as well. So we had a photo shoot last week. So the new photos that you'll be seeing on our socials and newsletters, they'll be Ashley. So it was fun to be working with you on that day, Ashley. And obviously behind the scenes, Jasmine, my daughter, and Nick, my husband, Nick is really emergency guy, who, if anything happens to the site or something needs to be fixed, or if we lose something, like a couple of days ago, I've realized we've lost one of our coupon codes that you get when you subscribe to our newsletter to get the free book. and it's just vanished. So I don't know what happened. So, you know, in situations like this, we go back to Nick, and he's got his own business to run, but he is pretty much the ER service for us. And Jasmine, obviously creative and very knowledgeable little pumpkin. So I think that was much needed for me to say, because we're busy. And as I said, I do acknowledge my staff individually and face to face, but I wanted to do it publicly for everyone to hear. If you do have feedback to around what we do, the service we provide, the products, whatever, please do share. It is important. It's what we also have realized with a lot of newcomers who are trialing our products, the 12-day trial kits in particular. And I really, really need to, and if you're watching this, or if you will be watching this as a recording, I really need to bring your attention to two things. If you are purchasing, or if you purchase the 12-day trial kit, you need to go to your email and read the guide. As of next week, you'll be receiving a card with your patches, with the QR code where you just scan, and it will lead you to your e-guide, right? So there's no way you can miss it, because we had a couple of less positive reviews on our Trustpilot account saying the program didn't do anything for me, where we know that if you follow the program, you will see the results. Occasionally, if something is not happening, not most likely it is on week 2, 3. So that's when you reach out and we jiggle something around. We will look at what you eat, we remove, we edit, we give you some advice. But in terms of when it comes to 12 days, there shouldn't be any disappointments. We are so confident in our product, we're so confident in our program, that we released a 12-day trial kit to give you that taste of the goodness that you can experience over the longer programs. But it's not going to happen if you're not reading the guide. If you just put a patch on, if you see it's and just continue on with what you do for the next 12 days, you won't see the results. So very important to read your guide. So one QR code will be placed inside your pack with a 12-day trial kit to get your guide, and on the other side, it's not this card, but I'm just giving an example. And on the other side, there will be another QR code where you just scan, and it will give you access to our Facebook group and also all other support channels. So very, very important. The same thing will happen for the 26-day starter, because the starter kit and the 12-day trial kit, the guides are normally sent via email. All the rest of the programs, you get a complete booklet where you can just, obviously a physical booklet. So please do yourself and us a favor, read the guide, stick to it, read again if you don't understand something. If it's too overwhelming, come back to us, we will support you. If you're not sure, ask the group, because seriously, out of 7,000 members, probably 6,000 have done the program, and they will guide you. There's so many women, amazing ambassadors for Slim by Nature, who will help you. So I'm not going to get into it any longer, but I really would love, I needed to point this out, right? And another thing is, if the patch is falling off, it's super important to have clean, dry skin. So when you place a patch, make sure your skin is dry. And I'm going to just show here on my right forearm. So this is the patch, for example, right? So you take it out of the pouch, you open it up, and that's what you have. You gently peel it off, right? Make sure it's dry, oil-free, and you gently place it. Just tap it. Obviously, I'm just showing on my wrist, and that's where most of the times I wear my Inner Goodness patch. The best for me, and I've been testing the patches again, we did have a couple of people saying, oh, it's falling off. So everyone in the office, we've done the test run, and we normally do it anyway. But my recommendation would be, and I'll quickly stand up here, belly button here. So just about probably a centimeter away from the belly button to the left or to the right, the patch. Don't try to put it under your boob, because you might get sweaty and it will just fall off. You wouldn't even probably know when it fell off. the patches, when I did my last 2 tests, I wore them for longer than 12 days. And the only reason I took them off, they could have stayed, but the only reason I took them off because I didn't need the patch. And it was with detox, with inner goodness. Again, you wear them for 7 days and then you swap and change. So just take care of I suppose, of your purchase. It's your money that you've invested. Make sure you read how to apply the patch. Make sure you follow the steps to get the best out of the product. Cool. And challenge, ladies. Also, I need to say that this particular challenge, we normally run about 2-3 challenges throughout the year. But what's interesting, this challenge, it's probably the most successful in terms of people dropping off. So we didn't have many people who have started, and third week in, fourth, we didn't have many people dropping off, which is really exciting. Again, maybe something is in the air, but to me, it's more of we just kind of want to go back to our normal life. So the Christmas is just around the corner, and a lot of you are just very determined to get to where you want to be, right? Even what I really admired, and I keep looking at the group, and I keep reading your posts, even if you had a bad day, you fail quickly. So you get up and readjust yourself. You follow your North Star. And this is very, very important. So you're doing an amazing job. Keep up with the good work. And so let me just quickly remove that. And just remind yourself of your why and why you're doing this. Why. Also, another good thing to remember is I've spoken in the last 12 days, I've spoken to more clients that I would normally speak to. And a couple of them, they said, oh, I need to remind myself that it's only for a little while where I'm sacrificing. And to me, it didn't sound right. And I actually had to pause the conversation. I said, you need to look at it a different way. You're not sacrificing. You're actually nourishing your body. You're actually eating. You embarked on this journey. You stepped into this amazing world where you are, for the first time, for this particular lady, was where you are for the first time taking the time for you. You're purchasing the right organic food. You're nourishing your body. You're drinking water. You're doing it for you. So you're not missing out on KFC. You're not missing out on McDonald's. You're not missing out on Domino's takeaway pizza. You're actually benefiting from this 60-day that she was doing. So just little mind changes in the way you talk, it's very, very important. Again, we open all our support channels, and especially the support email is there because it's private, it's one-on-one, and you will get a very private and delicate response to your situation. So make sure you use that. And now I won't be taking any more of precious time, because I've got Natasha in the back scene there, and I'd love to chat to Natasha. So Natasha came to Slim by Nature about a year ago, and she made an impact in my memory because I would read her posts and I would resonate with many things that she would say, but also what really caught my eye and made me, I suppose, pay attention. And it's just somehow you just see certain women that she did struggle a couple of times, but she would always come back stronger. And that mental strength was really fascinating for me to see. So I'll bring her in and we'll chat to Natasha. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I believe we're in and everyone can see. So welcome to Slim by Nature. It's, as I said, it's always, for me, it's the best part of running the business. It's meeting ladies from the group, and sometimes from 9 years of running the business, some of the clients became our friends, and it's just incredible to see, the transformation and hear the stories. And part of my, I suppose, mission is to not just talk about the product, how amazing the product is, but it's actually to hear from you and for you to share your experience. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, and how did you come across Slim by Nature?
Well, I live in Victoria. I'm 49. I've got 4 children and 2 grandchildren. I work as a nurse here in Victoria, so that's been a bit tough in the last year. How I came across Slim by Nature was very interesting. So I'd seen it on Facebook, and really it was just a glimpse because I typically felt that my eating habits were okay. And then I had some health issues, metabolic issues, so thyroid and diabetes. And then I sustained a back injury, and I was flat on my back in bed, scrolling the internet, and I remembered Slim by Nature, and I decided that having seen doctors that were telling me that my back had gone because of my weight and I needed radioactive therapy to rectify issues, I decided that was it. I was joining Slim by Nature and surrendering myself to my lifestyle. And it was a light bulb moment because I finally decided that I needed to do something for me. That what I could achieve on my own, I couldn't. So I started on the 5th of November last year, and it changed my life. So I no longer have diabetes. I don't need radioactive therapy. Whilst my back still remains problematic and various treatments have seen me have to stop a couple of the detoxes, after my first. What it's actually taught me is about me, and that I am strong and that I can do this, and that my inner health actually is more important than anything else. So it's been quite remarkable.
I think when we had a chat yesterday with you, Natasha, and I think the whole journey, I suppose it was a quick summary, but when we chatted, it was quite traumatic experience for you mentally to go through. First of all, you already knew you needed to do something for your health, and then you were entering perimenopause, then your thyroid issues, you've been going from specialist to specialist, so you did have quite a long and intense journey before. And what I suppose stood out to me when we were chatting, you said you wanted something natural and you wanted something almost less invasive in a way. Yes. So
Yeah.
and being in the industry yourself, being a nurse, this is probably what we hear a lot. A lot of our clients come to us and say, I want something natural. I want to try to fix it myself first before I resort to the last resort. So when you started in November, sorry, keep going.
That's exactly what happened. I asked the specialist, I said, I just need time to try and fix this myself. I didn't say anything. I needed to process what was happening with my health, and I needed to take control of it rather than give it to the Western medicine world, and that's exactly what I did. So
yeah, it's interesting because we get, I mean, in today's world there's so much information. You pretty much can get anything at any point in time delivered to your doorstep, but it's interesting to have that stillness and to allow for yourself to acknowledge that, okay, I've hit some kind of rock bottom where I need to really stop and think and figure out what's my next step. And a lot of times, again, when I speak to clients, we train to run to the first emergency, which is, our doctors, and or get the tablets, get the prescription medicine, which is fine. But sometimes I honestly believe we just don't allow enough time for us to digest of what's happening and listen to the body. And
Yes.
in my experience, what with this program, what happens, it brings you back to you. It brings you back to your cause, to your roots. And I know your European background and what you've said again yesterday. The way you used to eat when you were a child. So tell me a little bit what you were, I suppose, used to have when you were growing up, to how it changed throughout the life, and what are your, I suppose, what is on the plate today for you?
Yeah. So growing up, my father did most of our cooking. And it was very European, in lots of sauerkrauts, good food, fresh food and vegetables. They didn't believe in takeaway. I grew up without takeaway.
Yeah.
And then I guess in my life I had some tragedies. I lost my mother at a very young age. So I took on a role within the family very quickly. And um, I worked hard to try and support my father and my younger sister. And I adopted my father's way of cooking, which was good. But then I became a mum quite young. And the meals were quicker and easier options, but it was still healthier. Most of my friends used to comment how much fresh sort of fruit and vegetables my kids would have in their diet. And then I guess my portion sizes became larger, and I snacked a little bit more, and I, like everyone, indulged in a sweet, but I was more a savoury type of eater. And like I said before, Slim by Nature, I thought my habits were good. Um, and when I started Slim by Nature, I realised just how much food I didn't need, that I was eating because it was a habit rather than a need.
Are we talking about the food, the number of food on a plate, or the portions of
I think
food?
I think it's the whole lot. I have
Yeah.
to say it's the whole lot. And then when I started Slim by Nature, um, it was amazing how much more I enjoyed food, just the simple foods, and not needing to add, 5 vegetables to a meal, and how good fish could taste with just asparagus, for example.
Yes.
And it, it it still blows my mind, actually. I think I said to you yesterday how you could do a meal with so many herbs and just one vegetable and
Yeah.
feel so sustained after it. Um,
Yes.
and I think what I found particularly interesting with Slim by Nature is Chelsea's lives, where she talks about the nutritional value of a herb. Um,
Yes.
and I've very much looked into those sorts of things now. So, if I'm not feeling great, add a particular herb that might make me feel better. And to my astonishment, it actually worked. So, yeah,
So,
I
what are
feel,
the foods that you have eliminated since starting in November last year? So, what are
yeah,
the foods that you know for you, they don't work for you, they don't serve you good?
yeah. Surprisingly, grapes is
Mhm.
a massive one that I cannot. My body just doesn't like them. Um, I'm not a vegetarian, but I would say that I've eliminated a lot more meat from my diet, and um, so red meat in particular, I find just makes me feel quite unwell.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have found that I actually love is blueberries. I never used to eat them.
Who doesn't
So
eat blueberries? Like, it puzzles me.
yeah,
I remember when I was a child and back in Latvia in autumn, this time,
yeah,
we're in October, maybe, no, sorry, the autumn was the mushrooms. So
Yeah.
the summer, July, August, we would go and literally bring buckets of blueberries from forest. And I remember closing my eyes as a child when I would go to bed, and all I could see is the blueberries. My fingers were blue, my mouth was blue and purple. I mean, I think they're just the best tasting berry.
And now I would totally agree with you. But before I did it, and I think it's more the taste of foods that's really changed for me as well. Just going back to no preservatives.
Yeah.
The taste of food I find quite amazing. Eggs I enjoy, but they're not my best friend. I absolutely love chickpeas, but I always have. But I have to just watch how often I have chickpeas. I eat a lot of cabbage still. I still eat the sauerkraut, but I found that there's a certain amount that I can eat. So I'm talking probably maintenance more than detox.
Sure.
There's probably a certain amount that I can eat before it becomes too much for my body to handle now. I cannot eat bananas anymore. They're not a great friend of mine. They actually cause me a little bit of indigestion, which is interesting. But they're the things that I'm finding with food. What foods are actually triggering me to get a bit of reflux or an upset tummy, or tomatoes is another one, which I love tomatoes, but I find it's a bit refluxy for me now with the acid. So I think the biggest thing has been what I found is what works for me now, the combinations that work really well, that make me full and don't give me any sort of reflux. And the bonus for me has been the drop in the scales with particular foods, but more so now it's about feeling better within. So I think I mentioned yesterday one of the huge benefits of the detox for me is feeling better from within. So adjusting my foods has been amazing. The other thing that I used to overindulge in was nuts. So during the detox, nuts. Yeah. So during the detox, not having them, I've realised that I don't need them. It's quite a treat. So it's all those little tweaks of your diet, and taking like nuts out and reducing the amount of cabbage I eat per week, or not having a banana, reducing the tomato. It's amazing how much that's changed my life. Really.
It's so great to hear, and again, it's something that we hear on a daily basis. But tell me one interesting fact that also, and I think a lot of women do struggle with jumping on the scales and being fixated by the scales and what the number is going to deliver them the next day. So I know your first round was more around that losing the weight, which was important. And then when you realize the concept, it was more around, okay, well, what else can I take out of the program to improve my health? And then now I know you're doing the challenge, but you completely disregarding the scales. So it's more around your health. So tell me a little bit. So how did you come from one step where a lot of women are fixated by that to kind of move that completely out of your lifestyle and just do it for health without worrying whether you're losing weight or not? But what are the benefits you're feeling this time around? And I know, and maybe mention as well, because I know you've started the 2 rounds before that, and then you had to stop. But what I love is that you actually persisted. You knew from the first round, because you did the program from A to Z. You knew all the steps. You knew the benefits of each day, each week, each phase. So even though you had to stop for medical reasons, you still came back. So tell me a little bit about that, the current challenge that you're in, and how you manage. Because you're quite organized, everything is under control in your life, right?
So
So tell me a little bit about that.
So The first challenge was definitely about the scales dropping and reducing my body mass index and trying to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that happened. And it happened easily for me because I was so committed. However, I, like a lot of women, wanted to be a number on the scale rather than listening to my body. It was more about I want to be 67 kilos. I want to be 60 kilos, and then unrealistic probably goals.
What
Um,
weight were you when you first started back in
so
November?
yep. So all my whole journey started at 85 kilos. I lost 3 kilos on my own. Was probably all fluid, to be quite honest. And then I joined Slim by Nature, and I was 82.4 kilos. Um, by the time I finished my first round of maintenance, I was 65 kilos. So it was amazing. And I now fluctuate between 65 and 67, and it does not bother me at all because it's my body. It's my body talking to me.
Yeah.
But I have to say, because I was so successful in the first round, I did try the detox twice more, but I was commenced on medication for my back, medications, and the first one, the first time, I had a few reactions, and I was wearing the patches, and they'd asked me to. So I did the drops in the first round, and then second round I thought I'd try the patches. And they'd asked me to remove the patches because they didn't know what was happening with some of the meds that I'd taken, and they wanted me to go off all natural products. So I actually gave up with that. I guess I used my health as an excuse, and I maintained my weight. And then I decided that I'd start again, and similar things happened with my health and needed retreating. So again, I was advised to stop. And rather than me believing in me that I'd done it, I did stop. And then on this occasion, I decided that I needed to surrender. I think I said that earlier, and I needed to decide that I was doing this for me, and it's definitely not about the scales. The scale drop is a bonus for me, but what it's about is re-energizing my system and understanding what works for me, and really cementing all the things that I've learned since November last year. And what I can say to everyone watching is, only last week, I think it was, I was a bit nauseous from the medication, so I decided to have my Maker hummus dip that's detox approved. So it's just with chickpeas and lemon, and some herbs in it. And I'd been a bit picky because I felt nauseous, and I had carrot with it, and I posted that, and Chelsea came back and said carrot's not on the detox. So what I'm trying to say is I learned something every day. Though I'd done the detoxes, I'm not a huge carrot eater, but for some reason I felt like carrot. And without looking at the guide, I ate it. And the best thing for me about the group is that politely I was taught, just remember carrot's not on, there's these other options. And it's those little things that are so important, for when we're trying to detox for whatever the reason is for everyone. So for me, yes, it is a bonus to lose weight. I still would love to be a number on the scale, but it's not important to me now. I'm where I need to be with my weight. This is more about the ongoing improvements and the natural way of life for me. So raw foods and fruit and vegetables, and getting rid of all the it's amazing, the elimination of preservatives and what it's actually done for my health. So I don't have to have an operation on my thyroid. I don't have to have radioactive treatment. I don't have to take tablets to reduce my blood sugars anymore. Probably yesterday I didn't mention the elimination of my migraine headaches through this has been just amazing, and it's sugar related. So November last year, I stopped. I used to indulge in a Diet Coke every so often. I've not had a fizzy drink since November last year. I don't miss it at all, at all. I used to drink a lot of tea. I don't actually drink a lot of tea now. I have green tea. And I find that quite amazing. I was a white tea drinker a lot. I've not had one since November last year, and I don't miss it. So they're the amazing things.
I think I really need to almost say it again for those who are watching. As we go on journeys like that, for us, the number on a scale is almost haunting us. You know, we always want to be that number that we used to be, or we always want to be the number that we've never used to be. But we are fixated by the number. So, ladies who are watching, and if you're doing, if it's your second, third, or fourth detox, and it's good to have this clean regime throughout the year, but maybe perhaps don't just set an unreasonable goal to reach. And especially what I need to say, the older we get, like I can't and I don't want to be a number that I used to be when I was 30 or 35. It's just and I know my body is not well when I go down to that number. My body is happy at a certain number. And even though mentally, because that other number is imprinted so strongly in my head, when looking at the perfect number, the ideal number for my age and for my body today, I have this little voice in my head still sitting, oh, but you're not there. You're 5-7 kilos off that ideal number. So I think what we need to be gentle and kinder to ourselves and almost just switch another button and reframe our mind and have a conversation with ourselves where we almost sign a contract with ourselves and saying that I'm doing this for my health reasons rather than for the scales and the number. Again, for the girls who are doing the first round, it's something that drives you. It's something that, again, and I never say don't use the scales. Use the scales. Don't use it as your, as your enemy. Use it as your weapon. Use it as your statistical tool when you first embark. It's so important. But when it's your second or third round, and especially when you have pretty much achieved your happy space, your happy weight, and you're doing it for your mental health, I would say, as well, then completely, I think it's unnecessary to be fixated by a certain number. So I think that's to me a light bulb moment for our community that I thought would be important to share. But tell me a little bit more around. So when you first decided to go on a journey, did you tell anyone? Did you have a conversation with your husband, with your kids? How did you go about that? Or was it more like, I'll try and see if it works? Or was it quite open and very firm decision?
So it was really open within my home. And it took me, I have to be honest, a little, because I don't think I believed the weight that I was. I was embarrassed, but I think I was shocked when I saw the weight that I was. And
were you weighing yourself throughout the years, or were you just living a life?
I used to weigh myself, and I think my clothes are a bit of a measure for me. When they get a little bit snug, I used to think, oh, I probably need to cut out, my portion size needs to decrease with my meals. And then I became unwell, and this is when the thyroid issues really kicked in. So my thyroid was a bit of an anomaly to the doctors. So I had an overactive thyroid, but I was weight gaining because the stimulating hormone levels were wrong. So I was having rapid weight gain for a medical reason. But I remember getting on the scales, and I really didn't feel that I was the weight that I was. I felt like if someone stuck a pin into me, I'd be like a balloon and blow around the room. So my husband knew that I was upset about my weight, so I was honest with him about it.
Yeah.
My kids, I have a son that is a chef, and he's amazing with what he cooks. And I said to him, I'm only going to be having 100 grams of protein and 125 of one vegetable, and you just need to help me invent ways to present it. And he did. My work, I was a little bit more guarded. I still probably to this day need to work on that a bit more, because I'm a leader in my industry. So I sort of feel that I should have been a role model, and I don't know if that was embarrassment or whether because of the COVID situation we're in, I couldn't really admit to them.
That you going on this journey? You were hesitant, or
yeah, I was very proud that I was on it.
yes,
But I needed to have the courage and own self-worth before that I could really indulge with my work, that this is what I, yeah. And they all know, there is no secrets at my work anymore. I think it was probably after I achieved the first 5 kilos, and someone noticed, and I couldn't wipe the smile off my face from ear to ear. I sort of thought, it's really, there was all these little motivational things along the way. And yes, the clothes downsizing was amazing. But I remembered, I think I posted this last year, I remember taking my grandchildren to the park, and someone asked me how old my children were.
Oh yes, I remember that post.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I sort of just said, "Oh yes, well they're 3 and 1." Like I accepted it rather than being honest. So all of those sorts of things, that the whole transformation, my skin, my nails, my hair, and then the more I felt more confident, the more that I shared with the world why I was the way that I was. So, and I still do. I still, if anyone asks, it's no secret. And when they say, "Oh, how do you do that?" and I go, "It's about allowing yourself to do that. You need to allow yourself to grieve for the old you and make the changes. And it's a slow and steady process. And if it's not achieved in 60 days, it's an ongoing transformation that will change your life. And you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. Today I was scrolling on Instagram, and I followed this lady, and she does prep meal. She's got a young family, busy mom, kids.
Yeah.
Every week religiously she posts these beautiful photos of just tubs of maybe 15, 18 meals ahead for the week. And the caption said, it's not that you don't know how to prep your meals, it's just simply not on your priority list. And that's what happens. That's kind of, we all know that, but when you go into something like this, you really have to have that solid priority, me. And interestingly enough, when we first start in the first week, we don't want to talk about it. We maybe allow our loved ones and the close ones to know what we do, but we're just not in the right mindset or space to share, because we don't know if it's going to work. What if it's going to be another diet that will fail and it's just disappointment? But it's so interesting to see how many women, when they're at the end of the journey, and when I, let's say, reach out to them and say, would you like to, can I please have, can I please share your photos? They actually say yes. So I always find this quite interesting. And that fact that, you don't want to share until you do want to share, and then when you do want to share, you can't shut up about it, pretty much. It's and I was chatting to Amanda as well, and you probably know Amanda Hodgson. She's the performance coach, and we're chatting, and I've said it before maybe a few times. There's some personalities who, if we know that this is so good for me and could be so good for you, we almost run with it and we deliver this. But everyone comes to the table when they're ready to come to the table. So it's not for everyone. And even in our messaging with SBN, the way we speak, it's not that we invite everyone. You have to be ready. It's not easy. It's, as you say, it's slow and steady. Even you embark on the 60-day journey, and it's quite impressive what you can achieve. It's a daily routine. It's a daily discipline. And tell me a little bit about that discipline. So how did you find following the protocol? How did you find following the steps? Was it easy for you? Were you trying to create something? I have someone knocking at the door. Will you excuse me? Sorry guys, I have someone knocking on the door, and I need to find the keys. I don't know where they are. Let me just see. Sorry, I'm busy. Okay, lovely. Excellent, thank you. Okay, thanks. We've got this beautiful tenant next door, and he always checks on me because most of the times I stay here till about whatever time, I don't know, about 9 o'clock or so. And he always says, "Are you leaving soon? Do you want me to shut the roller door downstairs?" So he's always checking that I'm safe, and it's lovely to have good neighbors. Yes. So tell me a little bit. I got a little bit thrown off now, but tell me a little bit maybe around what are your next plans? What are your future plans? And I know also we briefly touched on how you're introducing new fresh meals to your family, and your kids coming back for that fresh delivery service that you're serving them now, your adult kids.
Yeah. So where to now is I want to be who I am. I'm proud of who I am.
Who do you want to be? Who is Natasha? So when you say I want to be who I am, what is that?
So what that is for me is being self-assured and being a role model to my family, and teaching my grandchildren, healthy and good living. What that means for me is that I want to continue on exactly where I'm at, and if some more weight drops off, then that's a bonus. But the reason I've joined this challenge is, again, just to cement those things that I've learnt about my portions and about good food and good fats and good oils, from the detox through to maintenance. What doesn't work for me, I think I've learnt each and every time over the last year. Every time I do this, there's something that just doesn't agree, and it frames me for better health moving forward. I'm happy to share with the world what Slim by Nature has done, and in fact, I've introduced it to a friend of mine in South Australia who has bought the trial kit, She's not quite ready to start the program. She will when she's ready
When she's
to.
ready.
Yeah. And she will ring and ask me questions, and people will say to me, can you tell me what you eat in a day, and how you prepare it and how you plan? And I tell them, and how do you do that? How can you only eat that much in a day when you're on detox? And I say, because it's your motivation. If you're ready to do this for you, it's actually not hard. I would say that the 2 rounds that I started that medically was advised to stop, I would happily sit here and admit that I probably wasn't ready to embark on them. It was more that fixation. So this time, it wasn't about the fixation of weight. It was more, I need to do this. I want to feel like I felt at the end of my first detox, when my life was very clean eating. And that's what I want to maintain. The things that I've learned from Chelsea and in regards to food and herbs and spices, and there's no turning back from it.
Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it.
I don't want to. So probably the reason and what I want to do is I don't want to unlearn this. And if it means that every so often I have to come back and do the detoxes, then that's what I will do, because I never want to be in the position that I was last year. Never again in my life. I have vowed and declared that I will not be. Not that I'm not going to. I will not be back there.
And you did like that structure. That's so
Yes.
It actually returned back to me the thought. So you did like the structure even, and I know you're quite organized. So a lot of women are really dreading maintenance, or not even maintenance, post maintenance. So as I always said, we as humans, we love discipline, we love step by step. We love to be guided, regardless whether we are leaders or whether we're followers or we're in between. We love to be guided and have that order in our life. So when we go through the program, the phase 2 is easy, I would say. The maintenance is harder, because maintenance you're pretty much sailing alone, even though it should be the fun experience, the third, where you start introducing the foods that we have eliminated in the second phase. And some women do struggle, but a lot of fear comes, oh my God, but what do I do when I finish maintenance? And you're a perfect example where you've dropped in your first round, you've dropped that mass of the weight. And a year later, you're still sitting at the right weight for you, and you're quite happy. You're just doing it for other reasons. But what was the life post maintenance? Just briefly, were you worried about it, or did you have to kind of bring yourself back to the learnings, the education that you've received through the journey, or was it hard for you to remember that, or was it a second nature for you from there?
It became second nature for me, but that's my personality.
That's your best. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a very different thing for different people, because being part of the group, you see people do detoxes and come back and their weights bounce back up, and they've talked about, those old habits that have crept back in.
Yeah.
And that happens for me. I'm certainly not perfect. But I think my personality, it became second nature, because for me, the reasons joining Slim by Nature were about my health. So I need to maintain my health. So it had to be second nature for me. I had to, I'm going to use that word surrender again. I had to surrender myself to a program that that I know works from all the reviews, and I've seen it in the group. and I had to surrender myself to the program to allow it to work for me, and it did.
Mm.
So what I learned became second nature.
Mm-hmm.
It is second nature. So before you asked about my kids and what they asked for, so over my journey, they saw me cook the fish with your seasoning, and they come now and ask for that. And um, we used to use a lot more salt for seasoning on our meats, and now they like the penny run salt, or the chicken salt seasoning.
Yeah.
When I cook a meal um, and I add sweet potato for them, they're amazed by the sweet potato. So it's those sorts of things um, that I'm teaching my kids,
Mm.
simple ways.
Mm.
My son that's a chef, I do a chickpea and tomato curry with the Durban curry,
Yeah.
and he asks for it now. He asks me,
Oh, love it.
yeah. So it's all of those sorts of things that have become second nature. Um, when I go to the shops now, I don't need to go up and down aisles. I go fresh food to my health food shop, get my sauces, and that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, the pantry's different.
Mm-hmm.
When they say they want pasta at night time, it's just not even in my thoughts anymore. Um, and I think when I came out of maintenance, um, all I did was increase I basically kept the same way of cooking, but I increased my portions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I might have added, some olive oil and those
Mm-hmm.
healthy oils, coconut oil, but nothing like I used to. Um, it, it's changed. Even my husband says, I go, you're eating something that's cooked in no fat. And he's
Mm.
like, oh, wow. And he can't believe the taste. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that. I still can't believe it when I talk about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's so great to hear. I do appreciate the time. We will be finishing up shortly, but it's so great to have you in a group, and I truly believe you've inspired so many women just with your posts and your transparency. Of ups and downs and the two
yeah,
rounds that had to be stopped,
yeah.
and being now in a challenge. How do you find the support from SBN? And what is do you have a favorite product? I have to ask this
Yeah.
just in case you do.
So my favorite product is the Inner Goodness patches. I love them, and I really struggled with Formula Z when I first started, um, but I can't do without that now.
So when you first started with formulas, was it the taste that everyone is talking about? Yes. So are you coping with the taste better now, or
So I've got my theory on this, and I stand to be corrected, but I'll share this with you. So because I did have a lot of processed ingredients in my diet
Mhm.
before I started SBN. So when I started SBN, all of that stopped. So my mouth and my taste buds were having explosions of taste that was so
Yes.
natural they weren't used to it. So when I started Formula Z, it's very earthy,
Mhm.
and it was difficult for me to just get that zing of taste in my mouth. So and then it was easy. I enjoy it, and now I actually like it. So I
Mhm.
went from disliking it to actually now liking it. And
Mhm.
I'd say my theory was eliminating all processed foods. My taste buds didn't know how to handle natural,
Mhm.
and now they do. And now it craves those earthy root sort of vegetable um,
Mhm.
tastes. And interesting now, when you read the ingredients on the Formula Z, you can taste them in it. So eliminating all you can read it, and I can taste the ingredients in it. So I love those products, and I love the herbs and spices. I
Yes.
can't
I
do
think they're
without.
a great addition to the meals.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're quite amazing.
Yeah. Well, with Formula Z, as I said, we've been working on a couple of projects, and Formula Z is one of them. And
Yeah.
it just takes a long, long time to release. And for us, for the entire team, like the way we run the projects, like even last week, we were pretty much ready to press the green button to give the green go for a new product to get into manufacturing. And then I was delaying and delaying, and I didn't understand what. So I had to actually sit down and concentrate and just sit with all the the paperwork that we have and go through it. And I figured out what was stopping me to press the green button. So we went back to, I called Chelsea. I said, let's do this. We need to remove this. So when we released the product, and we've been hearing a lot of similar comments with Formula Z to be able to have it because of great, fantastic benefits. We are releasing a new version of Formula Z, but it has to be 100%. It has to be the way we want it to be, and it's probably going to be on the shelves early next year. But when it comes, I can't wait to share and to show. But it's something, that's something that will be quite amazing. Yeah. So
I think there's not a product that I've purchased that I don't like. I found, you might remember very early on, I'd posted that I find the teas extremely sweet.
Tea.
The teas.
Yeah.
And you had responded to me saying, don't diffuse them as long or add more water.
So I think with two, the two is quite sweet.
So it's all those little tweaks. So that's why I found the group so useful. So when at my very first detox, at the end of it, I was so proud of myself, but yet so embarrassed to put up my before photo. And I remember making a comment. So for everyone out there that's doing this for the first time, I remember, and I still get teary thinking about it, I remember saying how embarrassed I was. And one of the members private messaged me, and she said, you should be proud of where you're at. Only do this if it's right for you. Like, only post it if it's right for you. And that was that little push that I needed. And within 5 minutes, I'd uploaded my before and after. And no one, I didn't expect what I got from the group, which was how amazing I was and how proud of me people that I didn't even know were. And so I will be eternally grateful to Claire if she's listening.
Claire Bell, yes.
For reaching out to me on that day. That was quite amazing, really. And there's been multiple other people that have, and it's nice to know there's a group of women that just support. So someone the other day commented on my post about the bra that I was wearing and how they wanted to buy a new bra, and that they need to do that. And yes, we do need to look after that area. We do need to indulge. And I think that they've removed their comment because they may have been worried that it's offended me. So I'm here to say that it didn't offend me at all. And if that's something that they need to do for themselves, is to comment and look after themselves, and I can inspire them to do that, then that's what this group is about. So,
you know what I need to also say? Sometimes Facebook removes comments. So when they're not, I know one of the lady posted, "Oh, well done, Chicky," and I got a notification saying Facebook has removed the comment because it doesn't comply with the standards. So it's the lingo, and some words could as Facebook bot goes through the words, could be found as offensive. But yeah, so but what we'll do, we'll go through the comments and see if anyone is replying. But also, when you say even though when you lost the weight and you looked great and you felt great, you still were quite embarrassed to post the before photo. What I always say, yes, we are proud of who we have become, but imagine the strength and the resilience and the mental determination that the woman before the after photo had. For woman before, she was doubtful, she was scared, she was alone in her head, she was not supported by herself, and yet she made that decision to embark and change certain things. So if anything, we should be proud of the woman who made that first step, and the woman behind, or the second photo after 60 days, it's a natural continuation of that woman. But the woman who made the first decision was the woman before in the before photo, and you should be super proud of her because she had the guts to go with the way she looked, the way she felt to do that. So,
and I am very proud. But it's taken a village of people to get me where I am. I haven't done this on my own. So we might be in lockdowns in our states, and we might be in different states and feel alone, but within our own space. But really, SBN, you're not alone. You go to the group, and there's always someone that can perk you up or has a question. And no question has ever been shut down or not answered. If you or your team notice that someone's struggling, you always offer for us to contact you. It's more than just, I know you mentioned earlier, we're spending our money to make better for ourselves, but it goes without saying, like, it's more than spending money. It is our village. It is a group of people that we're vulnerable, and we have needs, wants, and desires. And together, I say to my team at work that team needs together each can achieve more. And that's what I find at SBN, that together all of us can achieve more. So,
I love it. Well, let's finish on this beautiful positive note. I really appreciate the time. I know it's it's something that you do out of your heart. So I super appreciative of that. I hope everyone who's watched took something away, whatever it might have been for you. If you're planning to watch this live, do yourself a favor, rewatch, make some notes, reach out. We're here. I'll be going through commentary because, as I said, I don't see all the comments. We'll be going through the commentary, responding. If you do have any questions, if you do have any topics, any ideas that you want us to cover, please share, because we here have wealth of knowledge amongst ourselves, and everyone is quite strong in very different areas. With me, I'm more motivational and visionary, and I'll do anything for people to be happy. Like, I'm just people pleaser to the bone, which is super hard sometimes. Chelsea, Alia, Alia smashing through orders. Like, we get so many orders on a daily basis, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we make mistakes, but also many of you understand we're just human, and we try to do our best. And I think for anyone, the motto in life and the desire in life should be to do very best on the day that we live in, the very best. And if we can achieve that, that would be sensational. We can go to bed and sleep finally, and be pleased with ourselves. I wish for all of you, in Melbourne, in Sydney, to stay safe. We about to expect some storm and hail, I've been told. So I've been getting messages. Is it hailing? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, stay safe. And as soon as the borders are open, I would love to host a Slim by Nature get together for ladies. As I said, we had something like this a couple of years ago for our Christmas party. It was so lovely to meet women. So incredible when you meet face to face and you feel that community and that spirit. And especially now, I think it's so important to stick together, like you say. We crave that social circle, and especially when we're on the same way, we went through the same struggles. I think it just brings us so much closer together. The group is probably one of our biggest prides and joys out of the whole brand. Meeting incredible women on a daily basis, it just melts my heart, and I know the girls feel the same way. Yeah. So I thank you a lot, and I will see you probably a couple of weeks from now, ladies, online. Next week we'll have a Zoom or a live session with Chelsea and myself. And stay safe and reach out if you need help.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.